Hello everybody, my name is Benjamin Bloom. It's been all quiet on the Championship front with the FA Cup third round taking over this past week, but we are back today with a pretty big news story because it involves one of the relegated teams from last year's Premier League. Stoke City have fired Gary Rowett as their manager after only 8 months. Rowett had worked his way around, well, that was his third different championship team, but very much known to the division. They'd obviously hired him as a safe pair of hands, I guess, with the knowledge, and it just has not worked out that way. Rowett's been in charge for 26 league games, so that's 3 games past the halfway mark, 35 points up, 14th placed, 8 points off the playoffs. He also brought in a fair amount of players in the summer, I think spending upwards of 40 million plus probably a couple of expensive loans given the players that came in. So Afobe came in as the goal scorer. Ince, who at championship level has always been good. Woods, probably Brentford's best player when they took him. Etebo, Klukas, who'd been up the top with Hull. James McLean also to play on the other wing. Ashley Williams on loan, who, like I say, probably costs a pretty penny in wages as well compared to a lot of other championship clubs' wage budgets. So he hadn't been there long. He had been backed, and really the Stoke fans turned on the kind of pragmatic style of football. I know this very, very well, being an Ipswich fan, that when that turn starts to happen, things get pretty bad pretty quickly, and the Stoke board have acted terribly quickly. I think it was their game away at Bolton where it was Gary Rowett, your football is shite, was the chant from the stand. So that's the accusation. Overly pragmatic football, too low in the table, and Stoke act. You would think, given that they've done this now, that they still have this season in mind and they haven't written it off. If they were thinking of next season, then perhaps this would have happened more around Easter time, I guess. I always remember Norwich getting rid of Alex Neil. Like, as soon as it was mathematically impossible, he was gone and they were preparing for the next season. But it looks like Stoke think that they can perhaps still have a tilt at this. 8 points, it's a long way. We've seen bigger margins go in the Championship. There's a lot of traffic in the way. There's teams outside the playoffs like Villa and Forest who are good as well. So not only are you hoping that someone's going to actually drop out who's in there already, but you've got to usurp these other teams. So would be a pretty tall order for whoever came in. Bigger picture-wise for Stoke, there is 3 years of parachute money coming. This is only the first year, so I guess the normal logic is you get 2 years of that and you'd be mad to gamble the third year of parachute money. Normally, it's get your house in order during the third year and reset. The names I've heard mentioned, I did a quick Google just of the odds. David Moyes seems quite high up, and I think I've been told there's a link between him and the sporting director or the managing director, whatever is Cartwright, although he's coming under scrutiny now because that's, I think, the third manager he's gotten rid of. Jokanovic is still about, obviously that brilliant Fulham team last year, and he's immediately fired. Allardyce's name was linked, but I think I'm right in saying he's ruled himself out of that one. I suspect he sees himself as a Premier League manager still. Derek McInnes as well, he always gets chucked in with all of this. I would have thought that, being this is in a transfer window, that they know who their guy is and he's probably unattached, which would apply to both Moyes and Jokanovic. I think Moyes is a fairly strong favourite there. So from a Gary Rowett point of view now, he still strikes me as a little bit of an enigma, I think. I remember when Burton were coming up through the divisions, I do think, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, I do think they had some money behind them in the lower divisions, and it worked, and some good management got them up through. And then it's just a case of when they got to the Championship, it was just too small a club. Kind of good players would come and go, often just down the road to Derby or Forest or whoever. And it did seem a bit unsustainable. So Rowett was there, and I don't think it was him that got them up. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, should be better researched on that. So he ends up at Birmingham, and I think the best thing for his reputation happened at Birmingham, because he became the sympathetic figure in a narrative there. He had Birmingham 7th place, so just outside the playoffs, and I guess this would have been October, November time, so maybe the third of the way through the season he had Birmingham up in 7th position. So fine, not the most amazing thing in the world. And then he was sacked and replaced by Gianfranco Zola as Birmingham had this car crash, new ownership thing. And I think that played into his hands because everyone felt sorry for him. He'd been sacked. And I think that got conflated with him possibly being a better manager than he actually was. Off he goes to Derby. Got Derby into the playoffs last season. They were a bit more austerity Derby, spending what they'd made rather than the previous high spending under Pearson and Clement, etc. But again, Derby, it was very functional, very pragmatic football. I was at both the playoff semi-final legs against Fulham, and they really didn't lay a glove on them. I know they had the lead from the first game, but there was always this sense that they were just waiting not to lose, and if Fulham got into gear, as happened, out they go. So off he goes to Stoke, and I think Derby fans were a bit wounded by this. I remember the snakes, the sort of rubber snakes being taken to the corresponding fixture this season, Derby versus Stoke, by the Derby fans. Don't think that did his reputation the world of good, and he's obviously gone for the big one, managed to get himself into a good job there, and it's obviously gone very badly. So my contention with Rowett, one is he was always regarded as this bright young manager. What has he done? I think possibly playoff finish with Burton. Again, correct me, I'm not sure he took them up. I don't think he did. I think someone else came in and did that after he was gone. 7th place with Birmingham, unfairly sacked, fine. Derby in the playoffs, I think 6th place and lost, and now fired from Stoke. Reputation for this very rigid 4-2-3-1 where that back six is not going forward, and the pace is quite slow and cautious. So I don't know where this leaves Gary Rowett, because he's now gone from being a kind of very hireable Championship manager to possibly one with a bit of a reputation now for losing jobs, although I'm pretty sure there'll be a club that will see him as a safe pair of hands and take him again in the future. So it's left Rowett in a bit of a hole career-wise. It's left Stoke, well, looking to bring someone in, but it would take quite the upturn this season. Maybe they are looking towards next season. I don't know. So very interesting. Like I said, one of the bigger clubs in the league, if you base on ranking where they came from last season in the Premier League, spend, star power at the club. Be really interested in what people think of this sacking in the comments. Good call, bad call. Did he deserve longer? Was it untenable already? Had he spent bad? I think he probably spent quite well, but I think the players he's got are good. And I think someone coming in there will be like, well, don't need to add much to that, but I think maybe the brand of football not the best. So let me know what you think of the firing in the comments, and what you think for Rowett. Is he good, bad, indifferent, and where would you see him, not necessarily what club, where would you see him springing up next? Because it strikes me that it's bottom half of the Championship or nothing for him. Yeah, I think he'd do well to get a top half job, but who knows? Very interesting call, and we'll be waiting to see who the new manager is. I think that will happen quite quickly, given it's a transfer window, and I just have a hunch they've already got their man. Get involved in the comments. Big opinion on this one. Rowett, good, bad. Stoke, good call, bad call. Where's he going to pop up next? I will be back. I'll do a live stream on Thursday night. Predictions preview for the next Championship games. So get involved in that. Follow me on Twitter at Benjamin Bloom. And like the video, please comment, get involved, especially if you're a Stoke fan, Birmingham, Burton, Derby, any of those teams, first-hand experience of Rowett. I've only ever observed him as an away fan or a neutral. If you enjoy Championship content, you're a supporter of a Championship team, please do subscribe. Loads of good stuff this month. Off to Leeds Derby on Friday night, Ipswich Rotherham Saturday. The following week I'll be at Norwich versus Birmingham as well, and we'll see if I can get to Blackburn on the Saturday. Might need to get that one signed off, but anyway, well worth following. Loads of content coming up, previews, reviews, and subscribers growing all the time. So please join in. Great group of people on here. Comment. Good, sensible, balanced stuff over here on the channel. Thank you for watching. Over and out. See you on Thursday for the preview.